Integumentary system. It's the system of the skin and subcutaneous tissue, hair, nails, and breast. The skin. The skin is the general covering of the entire external surface of the body. Its size is about 1.5 to 2 square meters. And its thickness ranges from about 0.5 to 3 millimeters. It's thicker on the dorsal and extensor surfaces than on the ventral and flexor surfaces of the body, and thinner in infancy and in old age. The color of the skin is determined by 5 pigments: melanin, melanoid, keratin, hemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin. The skin consists of 2 layers. Epidermis, which is superficial layer of stratified epithelium. It's ectodermal in origin and protects the underlying tissues against water loss, mechanical injury, harmful chemicals and microorganisms. And dermis, which is an underlying layer of connective tissue. It's mesodermal origin and makes up the bulk of the skin. It also binds the epidermis to the underlying tissue and contains blood vessels, lymphatics, nerve endings, hair follicles and glands. Subcutaneous tissue is the fatty layer of superficial fascia that lays under the skin and covers the fibrous deep fascia and overlaid by the skin. It stores fat and preserves the body heat. Functions of the skin. It provides a waterproof and protective cover for the body. It also contains sensory nerve endings sensitive to pain. Aids in regulation of body temperature and excretes waste products through sweat. Specialized structures of skin. Sweat glands. It's small tubular structures that produce sweat. It's 2 types. Eccrine, which respond to body temperature, and apocrine, which respond to emotional stress. It's found in all over the skin, except lips, glands, penis and nail bed. Its function includes regulation of body temperature, sweat, and help in excreting the body salts by evaporation. Sebaceous glands. It's simple alveolar glands between erector pili muscle and hair follicle. They secrete an oily secretion known as sebum that lubricates the skin and protects it from moisture and lubricates the hair and prevents it from becoming brittle. The sebaceous glands are widely distributed all over the dermis skin, except for the palms and soles. They are abundant in the scalp and face and around the apertures of ear, nose, mouth and anus. Hairs. Hairs are characteristic of mammals. Each hair develops from epidermal cells at the hair follicle. A bundle of smooth muscle called erector pili muscle is attached to each hair follicle, as we mentioned. The functions of hairs are protection, regulation of body temperature, and facilitation of evaporation of perspiration. Hairs also act as sense organs. Nails. It's hardened keratin plates on the dorsal surface of the tips of fingers and toes, acting as rigid support for the phalanges. They cover the terminal phalanges of fingers and toes of human body. Parts of a nail. The proximal hidden part is called root, which is buried into the nail groove and is overlapped by the nail fold of the skin. This narrow fold is composed of soft keratin and is termed the cuticle or eponychium. Body is the exposed part of the nail which is adherent to the underlying skin. Free border is the distal free part from the skin. Notes: the proximal part of the body presents a white opaque crescent called lanula. Each lateral border of the body is overlapped by a fold of the skin, termed the nail wall. The skin beneath the root and body is called nail bed. Fascia. It's a structure of connective tissue that surrounds muscles, groups of muscles, blood vessels or nerves. In order to binding some structures together, while permitting others to slide on each other. It's divided to superficial and deep fascia. Superficial fascia. It is a general coating of the body beneath the skin. It is the layer that primarily determines the shape of the body. The superficial fascia surrounds organs, glands and neurovascular bundles. It is also found at many other locations where it fills unoccupied space. Distribution of fat in superficial fascia. Fat is abundant in the gluteal region, front of the thighs, anterior abdomen, mammary gland. Fat is more in females and present in the superficial fascia of the lower abdomen, upper thigh, whereas in males it is inside the abdominal cavity. Fat fills the hollow spaces like axilla and orbits. Fat present around the kidneys and abdomen and supports the organs. Fat is absent from the eyelids, external ear, penis and scrotum. Functions of superficial fascia. It facilitates movements of the skin, facilitation of the passage of nerves and vessels the skin, and conserves body heat because it is a heat insulator. Deep fascia. It's the dense fibrous connective tissue that interpenetrates and surrounds the muscles, bones, nerves and blood vessels of the body. It is in the form of a fibrous sheet which invests the body beneath the superficial fascia, is devoid of fat, and is usually inelastic and tough. Deep fascia is best defined in the limbs where it forms tough and tight sleeves and in the neck where it forms a collar. It is defined on the trunk and face. Extensions of the deep fascia form the intermuscular septa which divide the limb into compartments and the fibroareolar sheath of muscles, vessels and nerves. Thickenings of the deep fascia form the retinacula and aponeuroses. In the forearm and leg, the deep fascia is modified to form the interosseous membrane, which keeps the two bones at optimum distance. Deep fascia never crosses a subcutaneous bone, instead it blends with its periostom and is bound down to the bone. Functions of deep fascia includes: keeps the underlying structures in position. It also provides extra surface for muscular attachment. It helps in venous and lymphatic return, and assists muscles in their action by the degree of tension. Prevention of power loss by the retinacula.